Hello, I'm Chris Fenton with the Fenton Group, and I'm here today to give you a real estate market update for the Alberni Valley for April 2022. And I thought I would do something a little bit different this month. I thought I would take a look back at the first 3 months of 2022 and compare them to 2021, because those 3 months each tell a very different and interesting story. If we go back a year to the beginning of 2021, in hindsight, we see that it was really the beginning in the Alberni Valley of building up to a strong seller's market. So what that means is that we were seeing a reduction in inventory. We're seeing demand grow or at least remain stable, and the amount of properties on the market to sell start to decrease. And that's what led to the conditions that resulted in such incredibly high rate of prices going up and these competing bidding wars and all of this stuff going on. When we look at this year, we're seeing almost a reverse trend in the first 3 months, and I find it interesting. So looking at these stats, when we look at last year, in January 2021, we had 51 new listings for single family homes in the greater Alberni Valley hit the market. So that was Beaver Creek, Cherry Creek, Sprout Lake, excluding waterfront homes. Now we had 51 new ones hit the market. And then the next month it went down to 43, and then the next month in March we had 79. When we look at the sales side for that same 3-month period in 2021, we had 40 sales, 49 sales, and 46 sales. So what we saw was January had quite a few listings at 51, and then it came down to 43, and then we saw the 79, which is kind of the regular spring bulge. Meanwhile, sales stayed pretty linear throughout that time frame. We went from 40 to 49 to 46. So what we were essentially seeing was the beginning of what became a very strong seller's market. And as a result, prices did what you would expect they would do. They went from 362,000 to 442,000 to 454,000 in those 3-month periods. And the average days on the market started to decrease. Now, if we fast forward to the same time period, the first quarter of 2022, we look at what happened. We're seeing something very different. In January of this year, we had 39 new single-family homes hit the market. Then the next month it went up to 73, and the next month it went up to 95. So we're seeing this increase of new inventory hitting the market. Meanwhile, sales stayed pretty linear, 46 for both February and March. Not much was going on in January. That probably had more to do with, if you remember, we had that incredibly cold winter, and that affects the real estate markets, as it always has. But what we're seeing is an increase in inventory with sales being linear. So whereas last year we were looking at a building seller's market, it's interesting to see, are we beginning to see the reverse of that trend in 2021? And then interestingly, the average sale price, which is incredibly high at 642 in January, went to 612 in February and 621 in March. So I'm not ready to say the prices are going down, although they might be a little bit, but we definitely aren't really seeing an increase in prices. That I'm comfortable with. This is definitely an interesting trend, and it's going to be interesting to see how if it trends throughout the year, or if we see a bit of a change. In January of this year, homes were selling at 105.5% of the asking price. So 5.5% over the asking price. And in March, that went down to 1.2% above the asking price. We're seeing a reduction in the amount of multiple offer scenarios. We're seeing a reduction in the amount of homes selling in the first few days on the market. We're just seeing a more balanced market seem to be evolving. The other interesting thing that's happening in April that's not reflected in these stats is we're seeing an increase in mortgage rates. So it's becoming more expensive to borrow money. And as a result, what we're seeing is a lot of people rushing in to get pre-approvals in the marketplace to lock in at rates and really wanting to buy a house while they still are locked in at that lower rate. So we're probably going to see a surge in buying activity, at least for the next month or two. And it'll be interesting to see that as well. Thank you for joining me on this real estate market update for the Alberni Valley for April 2022. If you want to get future market updates, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you next month. Bye for now.